good to be back. No, haven't been gone very long. 2 days now. Easy peasy, light work for us. Got a beautiful show for you guys today. We'll be talking a little about some college football plays, preview of the weekend, some Thursday night football plays, preview of the game, preview of the Sunday games, maybe Monday games. Who knows what we're going to throw at you. It's all in our heart of hearts. Hit you with a little rapid fire trivia. Great show today. Might be a little wired off that energy drink, just trying to keep up the energy. But I'm here. I bring up the energy. I bring in the hate. I do what I do. Love me or hate me. Let's get it on. No ifs, ands, buts, or about it. Your parents might think you need to go. It quite possibly might be a scam. Regardless, these guys are playing this weekend, and we're going to have a great time watching. You got a really big slate of games on this weekend. It's kind of hard to find, some outstanding games. We previewed a little bit, just a tiny bit on the last episode. I threw a little bit out there for the South Carolina and Georgia. No need to dive into that, but my friend and my college football connoisseur, I might add. What strikes you this weekend? What games are you looking at? And man, what can we play some bets on, man?
All right. First, I think the first game I want to preview. Of course, everyone's going to be looking forward to the Colorado versus Colorado State. As we know, Colorado has moved up in the rankings. They're at number 18 in the country. Colorado State, I'm pulling up their schedule. They are 0-1, so they only played one game. Colorado is their second game. This is basically a lot of people are calling this a trap game. Basically, if Colorado doesn't take this seriously, they can definitely see themselves losing and see themselves out the rankings. And that would be a bad, scenario, because going into next week, you're going to face Oregon. And Oregon's another tough opponent. They're also in the Pac-12, or what's left of the Pac-12 after this season. And I think in order for Colorado to have a chance against Oregon next week, they need not only to steamroll Colorado State, to just keep everyone on notice, hey, we're not playing around. But also, I feel like this is a confidence builder game. The games that we're supposed to win, people are expecting us to win, we're actually winning, right? So I think this is actually a really big game for Colorado. I feel like they can't play around. I feel like, and we talked about this last episode, let's pump all the stats. Let's hype up the stats of Sanders and Travis Hunter. And then next week we got to focus in. We got to lock down on Oregon. And then, hey, Travis Hunter, I know you like to play both sides of the ball, but let's get your stats this week. Then next week, if I'm Coach Prime, I'm telling him, hey, you're going to be mostly defense, 90% defense. We'll use you as a decoy on offense. Maybe we'll throw you a ball or two, but we'll talk about that more next week. But yeah, I think this is the game for me. And as far as betting, let me pull up the lines right now. Honestly, I would probably take any points. I would probably take points, whatever the points over is. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Let's see here.
All right, for your game, let's see, Colorado State versus Colorado.
The points is at 61.5, at least on FanDuel. So I'm not sure on how good Colorado State's defense is, but I'm expecting them to. Well, let's look at this. Their last game, they played against Washington State. Washington State put up 50 against Colorado State. So the score is 50-24. So that's definitely possible, because Colorado put up points against TCU. And not saying TCU's defense is all that, but that was a high-powered offensive game. So I think the over on points is looking good. The spread, I think the spread looks good as well. It just depends on if Colorado's defense is going to show up or if they're just going to kind of be lackadaisical. But those are the two that I would go for so far.
All right, so like a double whammy, so a little parlay, a little same game parlay for everyone.
I would take them separate. Don't parlay because I don't want you losing your money.
Oh man, come on, man. We always ride.
We're safe. We're low risk, but still some rewards.
Oh man, come on now. We're trying to have some fun, man. We're trying to have some fun. All right, all right. All jokes aside, moving in a little bit deeper into the college slate of things. Well, I think I'm just gonna hit it hard, straight up the middle, for you guys. And a juicy one that I think it just kind of solidifies a team. It's kind of this Duke Northwestern game. Duke 18 and a half favorite. I mean, Northwestern just looks bad and bad. Like bad. Like one of the worst teams ever. Bad. Just kidding. Not one of the worst teams ever, but they couldn't hold their own against Rutgers. Rutgers isn't anything to be, right home, oh my God, about. But Rutgers dominated them pretty easily. Duke is now back at home, in which, it's like a different feeling when you're going to a Duke game based on, watching the game on TV. It looks like it's just a different feeling. It looks like there's actually energy in the stadium. And you might be thinking, oh, he's going to tell us to do the Duke money line, or sorry, the Duke spread at 18.5. No, I'm actually kind of weighing the fact that it's going to go over 48.5. I think this is probably one of those games where Duke probably scores 38. And, they're probably going to cover that spread of 18.5. But I just think Northwestern probably scores, 10 points, muddling points somehow, some way. That puts you right at 48. A good parlay for this game, if you're feeling risky, a little bit like myself, like I did. I put those two together and I teased it down, plus 3 points. Comes out with plus 150 money. So you're looking at the total of 45.5. But you got 45.5 and you got Duke 15.5. I think the Duke can cover the spread of 18.5. It's that over under. I don't think Northwestern gets over 10 points. But I also don't know Duke's going to want to keep putting foot to throat the whole game. I don't know how much killer instinct Duke has, but I mean, I think the ACC is something to be watching a little bit more this year. I think certain teams in the ACC have an actual defense, aka like Duke. I think other teams in the ACC have no defense and just straight offense, kind of like North Carolina. I think certain teams have a mixture of both, like Miami and Florida State. Miami's a little bit more questionable. The one chance they've had to prove themselves, they proved it completely outright. Duke now has a chance to prove themselves directly outright. Like, this is a Big Ten team. I know they're not the best Big Ten team, but it doesn't matter. It's a Big Ten team. It's a Power 5 team. Unlike these other teams that are playing, I'm looking right underneath it on FanDuel. Iowa, ranked number 25 in the country, is playing Western Michigan. Okay, unlike Iowa, Duke, I'm going out there and I'm going to play Northwestern. It might not be the best Big Ten team, but it's a Big Ten team. It's still a Power 5 conference. They get, top 100 recruits. So they're trying to, I know this is all our pre-made schedule. They didn't just think of it to this year, but at least they're trying. At least they're showing us that, like, hey, we're in this to win it. Duke actually has a football program now. Like, they securely established themselves, in my opinion, a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. I will stay in the ACC, at least one of my teams. I'm gonna go with my Hokies. All right, Tech is going against Rutgers on Saturday. Looks like a 3:30 kickoff in New Jersey. So far, matchup prediction on ESPN, Rutgers is at over 2/3% of people predicting them to win. I think just looking at the line, Rutgers is -7. The over under points is 39.5. I think this is the first test for the Hokies. I feel like last week with the rain delay, they really didn't play until I think after 5 or 6. The game ended later than they thought, just probably threw them out of rhythm. They lost by a touchdown. For the last drive, possible game winning drive, they had a kid who didn't even take a snap until that drive. So I think this is the real first test of them. Just this is pretty much, hey, we'll know if Virginia Tech is real, if Coach Pry is actually bringing different energy this year, or is the Hokies gonna look more or less like last season? So I think this is the first test for them, first real test. Rutgers is 2-0. Tech is 1-1. Their one win was against ODU, and they won in pretty convincing fashion. So I would probably take Tech to cover those 7 points. In terms of scoring, I would probably leave the over/under alone. I mean, the game time weather is predicted to be 76 and sunny, but just based off of last weekend, I mean, the weather is not going to really do too much, but I think there's still question marks at QB. Just and of course defense. Like defense is just a little suspect this year. So, yeah, I'm taking Hokies to cover the points. Rutgers will probably win, but I could definitely see the Hokies covering.
All right. I like it. I'm all about these college football plays. Unfortunately for us, we can't play Virginia games. There's a Virginia rule, I guess. But
yes, unfortunately,
I will take that. I don't think Virginia Tech loses to Rutgers. I'm going to be straight up with you. I don't think Rutgers is all that good. I mean, I watched Rutgers take care of Northwestern, but that's just Northwestern.
Yeah, they
Rutgers is
convincingly
one of
beat
those.
Temple. They beat Temple 36-7, which I watched parts of that game, and I mean, I don't know how good Temple is, but I mean,
Temple hasn't really been good since Matt Rule left, so don't really know much about looking at it from that aspect. Next game I want to get into for you guys, the Tennessee versus Florida game. Is right. 7:00 kickoff. Number 11 Tennessee heading in to Florida. Florida, I'm just going to straight up say it. They look absolutely awful. And I mean dog just poopy awful against Utah. That was the game I came on and told you guys that, the over just seems way too good to be true. We probably shouldn't play it because the over just seems way too good to be true.
Yep.
What do you know, everyone? The over was just way too good to be true because Florida went down there to the end zone and just couldn't score 3 times. Who the heck knows how to not do that? I'm just lost for words, honestly. So, looking at this game, I got Tennessee -6.5. I get it, we're at Florida, but only a touchdown. Oh man, this is gonna be one of those things where I tell you, too good to be true. But I'm an idiot, so I'm gonna hit it anyways. Tennessee -6.5. Just smash it all day. Now that over 58.5, I wouldn't touch it. We don't know if Florida can score a touchdown. Florida did beat the brakes off of Florida A&M or something. I don't know who they played. I couldn't care who they played. They played a trash team to try to get their confidence back. I think they need brought back down to earth real quick. Tennessee's number 11. I had questions about Tennessee. I didn't know what kind of Tennessee team we were going to think they were going to be. I thought maybe they were going to have a little hangover, the loss of a couple players that were pretty key that are not in the NFL. No, not really. They absolutely smashed. First game against UVA. UVA had a lot to play for. Let's not try to kid around it. Like UVA had a lot to play for. They had a shooting last year. They lost 3 players. They were honoring those players. They had a lot to play for. They got absolutely murdered by Tennessee. Sorry for my choice of words there, but that's just how it was. It wasn't really a fair fight.
No.
UVA did put up a good fight against JMU. Let's be realistic. We're all going to say whoever doesn't know is going to say, oh, but it's just JMU. They're not a real football team. JMU's kind of good.
They moved up from FCS to FBS, and they would have went to a bowl game last year if the stupid rule wasn't in place.
JMU's kind of good. I'm not going to lie to you. JMU's kind of good. And they held their own against JMU. And to be fair with you, Virginia is not supposed to hold their own against real football teams, like schools who dedicate their whole entire programs to football. JMU definitely only dedicates their program to football. So the fact that UVA was able to hang with them, I just kind of, in my opinion, that just kind of proves the worth that Tennessee has. I get it, the second week they played a nobody team too. That's just kind of what these teams do. They play a nobody second week to make sure that first week wasn't just a blunder, get my confidence up real quick. I'm on a little tangent here. Tennessee minus 6.5. They're going to smack the crap out of Florida again. And Florida's going to be looking at their season wondering, oh my God, did we make a huge mistake bringing this quarterback in here? And I'm pretty sure the quarterback is from, I don't know if it's correct, but it's either Wisconsin, Nebraska, or Minnesota. It's one of the three. But he was arguably super questionable while he's at one of those Big Ten schools. The coach thought he had promise, and he absolutely looks horrible. This probably might be the game where they just say, you know what, there's got to be someone better on somewhere down the roster. Let's see where they are. Let's see what we got. Because they definitely have an ultimate weapon. That wide receiver is can't remember his name, but he's an actual weapon. They could just get him the ball. I saw on punt and kick returns, he was doing he was trying to keep him in the game, but the fact of the matter is their defense is questionable. Tennessee's offense is not questionable. Florida's defense is one of those that comes into the game as the game progresses. But Utah beat the crap out of them, and Utah didn't even have their starting quarterback. And then Utah played Baylor, and they made that quarterback who went all over Florida look horrible. So we really are going to see in this game, which is why this is going to be one of those too good to be true, what Florida is. Because on paper and based on the schedule so far, Tennessee should absolutely destroy all of Florida's hopes and dreams this game. But in reality, I tell you all this now, it's probably going to be a close nail-biter that Tennessee takes over late in the game and Florida backdoor covers right at the end. So,
okay, sounds good.
I'm going to still ride it, though. I'm going to still ride it because I'm an idiot, like I said.
Okay, we will all follow you, and we will either go down together or we will win big together. So that's how this goes, all right? This is how this goes.
That's how we go.
I think for me, I think there's only 2 games I'm going to preview. Just like looking at the schedule this week, we're kind of like in a week 1 type of week where it's not too many big matchups, not too many big, top 25 matchups. So I don't want to preview. I don't have my eyes on anymore in terms of either games to watch or games I would put money on.
The only 2 more I have to watch and to keep my eye on is this Oklahoma State and South Alabama. And I'll just talk over them quickly. In Mississippi, so Ole Miss versus Georgia Tech. First with Mississippi and Georgia Tech. I'm high on Tulane. I think Tulane's I think they're a good program. I think everything they're doing is great. But Mississippi beat Tulane by 17 points. To be fair, though, they were only up by 7 with like 3 minutes left. And then Tulane turned the ball over, held them to a field goal, and then basically just threw a pick 6. And Mississippi just went up by 17. Well, Mississippi's only an 18.5 point favorite over Georgia Tech at home. Mississippi just beat Tulane by 17. And sorry, but not sorry. I don't think Georgia Tech can hang within 20 points of Mississippi. That's just my gut feeling looking at it. That week 1, Louisville versus Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech absolutely blew a huge lead. And it honestly just looked like Louisville couldn't stop shooting themselves in the foot in the first half, which allowed Georgia Tech to grow such a huge lead. But as the game progressed, they just couldn't do anything with it. They couldn't move the ball anymore. They got figured out real quick. It's like an RPO kind of game that they run. So Ole Miss, in theory, if they want to be really competitive, they should figure out how to stop that pretty early on. Otherwise, other SEC schools are going to take advantage of the fact that they can't. So look for Ole Miss to cover that spread of 18.5. And then second, Oklahoma State got some slander this last weekend going into Arizona State. They were only a 3-point favorite going into, or 2.5 point favorite going into Arizona State, and absolutely beat the brakes off of them. It was a really low scoring game, but I think they won 24-10, something like that. Now they're at home and they're playing South Alabama. I think this is going to be one of those games. The over-under's at 48.5. This is probably going to be one of those games where it's probably going to be under 48.5. And if you can buy down that Oklahoma State line to about 4.5, 5.5 with that under 48.5, Oklahoma State probably wins this game somewhere around a touchdown. But this is probably one of those games that Oklahoma State kind of tells people, don't forget about us. We're in the Big 12. We're good. We're going to have an upset. When I say they're going to have an upset, be watching Oklahoma, be watching Kansas State, be watching TCU, because we all think those teams are pretty good in the Big 12. Be watching because we're coming for you, because no one has respect on our name yet. I think this is one of those games where they kind of tell people, you don't even have us favored very much against South Alabama. I'm not trying to say South Alabama is not a good team. Don't know much about them. I just know that it's kind of a little hate towards Oklahoma State with that small of a spread. Alrighty. So moving on. Next, we're going to be talking about Thursday Night Football.
Yes,
we got the Vikings and Eagles. We're going to preview this game real quick for you guys. And then we're going to follow it up with some weekend games. Who we think is going to be the best plays of the weekend. Maybe throw an anytime touchdown in there for you guys. Because this last week, FanDuel had an anytime touchdown parlay, I went for it, and I missed all 4 legs. Oof. Big clap in the air. I had Jamar Chase score a touchdown. Oof. Didn't happen. I had Lamondre Stevenson to score his touchdown. Oof. Didn't happen. So, we're here. We can't win them every week, We can't win them every week. But,
slow and steady.
We'll still try. Like I said last week, it's week 1. It was week 1. No one knows anything week 1. For the sake of anything, I almost started T. Higgins week 1. But instead, I started Chris Godwin. He didn't play amazing, but he got more than 0 points. So, like I said, it's week 1. No one knows anything yet in week 1.
I will agree with that.
Eagles,
we'll be
Vikings.
back coming up next.
Looking at looking at both of these teams. Dude, minus 6.5 plus 6.5 on a Thursday night game. I know going into this, they were thinking about this. These were 2 good teams in the NFC last year. I think this is going to be a really awesome and competitive match. I think we're going to have a good match in our hands. After watching the week 1 performances, there's 2 things to think about.
Okay.
How good are the Eagles? Because on paper, the Eagles are supposed to be like really good, but
they debatably have the best roster.
But there was a pick 6 by Darius Slay. Without that pick 6, that game is completely different. It really is. Because the Eagles couldn't really score. They couldn't really move the ball. They could only get into field goal range. But now they're going to play a Minnesota Vikings team that really doesn't have a defense like the Patriots do. On the other hand, Eagles have a really good pass rush. And the Buccaneers made the Vikings look horrible on their O-line, and Kirk Cousins couldn't stay outside the ground, causing his interception and causing his fumble. I'm not going to completely blame the O-line, but dude, come on. Like, everyone likes to put hate on Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins isn't a bad QB.
Oh,
but
no.
You made him look like it in week 1 last week. And it's hard to pinpoint the where and whys it was so bad. Some people point out the fact that you can see on the screen right there, the center, Bradbury, wasn't playing. That was kind of evident. There were some mistakes on handoffs. People also said that the wide receiver, new one, he hadn't fully got his feet wet in the league yet. I think it's Addison.
Jordan Addison.
Hadn't fully gotten into the rhythm of the game. That was kind of evident. The force feeding of the balls to Justin Jefferson, that was a little evident. The lack of a real running game for the Vikings, that was a little evident. Yeah. So all these things are coming to fruition, and now we're going to look at this and say, hey, Eagles, Thursday Night Football against the Vikings. And I think the Eagles are a good team, right? Here's my only thing about the Eagles, though. Every team's going to play them really hard, really strong every week.
Yep.
And I think they have a crutch in the fact that they always play to the level of their opponent. I feel like they never know how to just put a team out and just like kind of just step on the throat and destroy them. I mean, they had the Patriots right where they wanted them. You know, you're up by 16. It's still the first quarter, and they just didn't do anything with it. They couldn't just stomp them and take them down. No, they let Mac Jones complete 11 straight completions and get back in the game. So, looking at this game, in your eyes, how does it play out?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta break this down team by team, right? I mean, when we look at the Vikings, like you said, running game is very suspect. I will say that off the jump. Like, I don't think McKisson is that, or is it Madison? Alexander Madison? Yeah, I don't think he's the answer. I feel like letting go of Dalvin Cook, even though it is week 1, I feel like that's a major loss. I don't think force feeding JJ the ball, knowing that, hey, this is Addison's first NFL game. He went through the legal issues of, I think, what was like a DUI or something, and he missed a little bit of training camp, and then he's kind of been in the hot seat, so that's probably going through his head, and not establishing the run game, and your offensive line is so far looks worse than it was last year. So, like you said, Kirk fumbled, holding on the ball probably longer than the offensive line can hold up. So it's not looking good so far. And then when we look at the Eagles, you're right. When we look at last year, they always played to the level or the level below their opponent. I wouldn't say that thus far looking at the Patriots game, because the Patriots are a good team. Like, when we previewed that division, we both said, like, hey, like AFC East, we know that every team in that division has a good defense. And Patriots actually look really good on defense. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like you said, like, if that pick six didn't happen, I think the Patriots win that game. And I don't think you can say it's because the Eagles played down. I feel like the Patriots actually took a step up in terms of, hey, Bill O'Brien can actually call offensive plays, and he put Mac in good positions, and the defense is always going to be good. Like, Daddy Belichick is always going to have a good defense. So I'm not going to blame that one too much on the Eagles. But when we put both of that together, I think the Eagles should definitely take advantage of this. I think this is going to be an easy win. As you can see, the line is at what? Philly -6. This is on Caesars Sportsbook, and the over-under is at 49. I don't know thus far if we can say that the points is going to happen, but I feel like it's a safe. I feel like, for me, my safe bet for this game is to take the Philly line, because I honestly don't think the Vikings are going to have everything put together in week 2. I don't think they'll be able to score. I think Kirk is still going to continue to force feed Justin Jefferson, and he's going to do it untimely. And I don't know. I just think that, even though, like, I have the Vikings to win the NFC North, I just feel like losing to the Bucks when we both thought the Bucks are going to be horrible this year, like, that's just like a bad start. That's a bad start to the year. Like, I know people get on the Bengals for starting bad, but I feel like the Vikings actually started bad, because that was just something I just did not see coming. So that's my first takeaways. What do you think? Like, what do you expect tomorrow night from, I guess, both teams?
Well, I think they have the passing yards for Kirk Cousins too low. They get it 262.5. Let's be realistic. In my opinion, the Eagles go up early, and all they're going to try to do on the Viking side is just pass the ball down the field and get points, or just come back. Kirk Cousins on the first week struggling. The Buccaneers have a good defense. Is it as good as the Eagles? No, but it's pretty good. He threw for 350 something yards, or 344 yards. Just round up to 350. They have it here at 265 or 262.5. That just seems a little suspect. Like, dude, he's more than likely gonna blow that out of the water. Just in dead time.
If Mac threw for 300, come on now, Kirk is gonna throw for over this. Yeah,
that's just like dead time. He's probably gonna get 100 yards in the fourth quarter alone, just driving down the field, maybe getting field goals, maybe turning over on downs on fourth down in the red zone, probably. He's going to get back down the field again. That's just kind of what Kirk Cousins does. He gets you back down the
Yep.
field. So looking at that, I think passing yards for them, I don't get it. I think that's a little low. And unfortunately, they don't have it up yet. A lot of times they always get it towards the late end of games, but I suspect that the Vikings are probably going to have like two field goals, 2.5. So like if there's like an over under on 2.5 field goals at some point for this game, I would smash it because 2.5 field goals. Like I just feel like the Eagles defense, in my opinion, because in my opinion, I think they just play to the level of their opponents, and they kind of let their opponents drive down the field, and then they stop them when they have to. And I think that's probably when they're going to start really blitzing Kurt, is when they get close to the end zone, and they're going to get to him, and they're going to end up making them settle for a field goal. And that's probably how the Vikings are going to stay in the game early. It's just going to probably be like a 13-20 game. And then you're going to look at the Vikings probably kicking another one. So whenever that does come available, look for the Vikings to fix what they didn't do last week. They try to go for it a lot in the red zone. Just kick the field goal, man. I get analytics and stuff. Half the time, just putting points on the board is more valuable because the defense actually gets to look at the score change. You waste all that time, and you're
Don't
still
come up
down
with
by the same
anything.
amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a waste of my time. And then
Demoralizing for sure.
And then the offense has to go right back out there again, and they do the same exact thing, or they turn the ball over. Like, one, it gives your defense nothing to really feel like they're playing for, and two, the offense can't really get jump started because we're doing all this good stuff, yet the score just still says 7. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes you just got to kick a field goal.
Yeah, and I think the Vikings need to play smart if they want to stay in the game. I feel like their whole thing is, we alluded to it last episode. Last season, they won a lot of close games. I feel like that's kind of their MO. They feel like as long as they're like in the game in the fourth quarter, they have a shot just because of offensively, they have the firepower. Now, I said the offensive line is looking kind of suspect. Now, it is still early, so maybe they can regroup against, I don't know. Probably not, but I mean, Eagles has a pretty nice defensive front, so it's not likely. But I mean, if like you said, they take these not easy, but if they take these field goals instead of going for it on fourth, and just settle for field goals, keep the game close, at least taking 3 instead of no points at all, and just make sure, hey, on defense, like they're gonna have to choose what to do with Jalen Hurts. Take away his rushing, or just let him throw. Because I feel like they can't do both, especially with that defense. That defense is not good at all. Baker, I mean, they came out today. Baker was like, hey, I knew their defensive signs. Like, I knew their play calling. Like, they made it too easy for me. So they got to do something about that. They got to mix it up, and they got to go after one thing. They can't stop 2 or 3 things. The defense isn't good enough. They're going to have to focus in on either rushing or passing, and just pray to God that that's enough to keep the game close going into the fourth.
Yeah. I mean, I think like you alluded to it, the Vikings have to play like they did last year and basically play like they did win last year. Like last year, they won games that were close. That's kind of your MO. Just keep things close and hope the dial moves in your favor. There's no wrong way in winning. All that matters is winning.
You get the W, yeah.
That's all that matters. There's no wrong way in winning. Only thing that matters is the win. Now, you can say, like, oh, dude, they play like Washington this week. Dude, Washington looked horrible. They really, really did. But at the end of the day, there's a 1 in the win column, and there's something to grow upon that.
Yeah,
you can play awesome, and you still lose. You can say it's a moral victory, but there's still another loss, and there's still another 1. There's still an extra 1 in the loss column. So,
yeah,
the week 1 Vikings, there was nothing to be, happy about that.
And I feel like just like looking at the division, okay, Packers look good. Like, Packers surprised me, even though they went against the Bears. I'm like, hey, Jordan Love looked really good. And then we got the Lions, who beat the Chiefs, who we both thought that wasn't going to happen. We still thought, hey, without Chris Jones, without Kelsey, like, Mahomes will still pull it off, but that didn't happen. So if you're the Vikings, I feel like if you go down 0-2 to start the season, it's just not a good look. I feel like then you're playing catch up, and in
It's
this
really not
division,
a good look either because you gotta
yeah,
like you think like you're saying like the Lions have been bad in the last couple years, right? But
a long time.
they've always found a way to beat Minnesota, right? They've always
Yeah,
like that one season where they were like 0-8-1. They found a way to beat Minnesota as their first win of the season. So the Lions have consistently had your number.
yep,
So don't play with fire thinking, oh, but when we get the Lions, we'll get one game over on them because we'll win. It's one, they've had your number in the past, and two, these ain't the same old Lions. Secondly, your defense can't stop anything,
nope,
and Green Bay can run the crap out of the ball. They got two running backs that can do it. Now, we don't know the status of Aaron Jones. He may or may or not be a little injured. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
AJ Dillon's right there waiting. It's
yep.
just one man up.
The next man up.
So you don't have to, and the game plan for the Packers is very, very simple. We're going to get the lead, and we're going to play to the strengths of our running game. We're
Yep.
going to ask Jordan Love to do what he's got to do, but we got speedster wide receivers, and Jordan Love's got an arm. Dude, chunk plays. That's all that matters. And then half the time, it doesn't even matter about the chunk play. It matters about the penalty that you had because the guy got open. Because you just let him run right by you. And now I have to trip his ankles up because I can't let him score that touchdown. So, chunk plays. Once I've chunk played down the field with my penalty, I just keep running the ball. It
And
works.
I think for the Eagles, you gotta take this game seriously because the Cowboys defense is here, and their defense alone is going to win them a lot of games, as you saw on Monday night or Sunday night. Like, that was an ass whooping. So
that was scary.
Their defense will win them, like, alone will win them at least half their games. So the Eagles, I feel like they can't drop any easy wins, and this is an easy win this week. So they gotta stay focused.
Totally agree. Well, that's this recap of this game. You guys will see this on Thursday morning. I can't wait for you. Maybe parlay our plays together. Maybe pick them separate.
Yep.
Whatever you're feeling. I know that FanDuel's giving away a no sweat same game parlay, so two little legs to put into that. Questionable the over and under. Pick it if you dare. Find another stat line. Everything will come up tomorrow. They kind of allow more, plays at that point.
Yeah.
They're going to give the receiving yards. They're going to give the rushing yards. There'll be something to tack on there with our two plays. Maybe put them up straight, That's always a better way to go. You can do it. But next, we're going to preview some Sunday night. We're going to preview some Sunday games. I think this weekend slate of games, I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of things that can be said and done about this weekend. So coming up, we're going to talk about this weekend's slate of games and what we think about it.
Right.
See you then. Last little segment for us here today before our final send-off. We have Sunday slate of games. The games that we find the most interesting, best played games. So I'm gonna throw you the ball first, real quick. I mean, what stands out to you first? I mean, a lot of these games look real good, and I'm just really interested to see what you think are the two best. I think I have a good feeling of what I think is the two best.
All right, so you already know I'm going to preview my team, Cincinnati versus Baltimore. We're in Cincinnati for this one. As you can see, ESPN 51.5% of the matchup predictor is going in Cincinnati's favor. Real stinker last week. Joey only threw 82 yards. Worst game of his career by far. The man played so bad he had to cut his hair. Like, the guy in the media session today was like, how do you know when to cut your hair? And then Joey was like, when you play as bad as I did, and that's when you cut your fucking hair. So shout out to Joey. He's a real one, keeping it real. He's not going to have two back-to-back bad games. Now, no excuses, but he did miss all of the preseason with the calf. He does. I mean, he looked good before week one and that week one game. I think it was just a matter of just a lot of rust, and he probably didn't trust himself 100% to like really be super mobile. So I feel like that with just like the elements, like the rain, which is not an excuse either. But I think all that came into question about why we kind of got stomped. But at least when we look in this one, we see the line is at Cincinnati to win 3.5. We're at home, so of course we're gonna be favored. 3.5 seems about right. I would take that. Cincinnati is used at least the past couple seasons. We usually have beaten Baltimore at home. And Baltimore has some injuries. It did not look good last week because their players were going down left and right, it seemed. As you can see right here with the injury report, J.K. Dobbins tore his Achilles. Their safety, Marcus Williams, is out. Humphreys is still questionable, I think, with a toe. I think hit either a toe or like I think it's a lower leg injury. And Mark Andrews, I forget what his injuries is, but he's still probably questionable, probably won't play. And their offensive lineman, their starting tackle, Stanley, is questionable. So we'll see. And then on our side, Chris Evans, our backup running back, questionable. Sample, Wilson, and Osai questionable. They'll probably still play. Zach Taylor pulled the starters. I forget like what, probably somewhat into the third or fourth. So I feel like it's enough rest for those guys to get going. But I expect a comeback game for Joey. I guess we can take a quick look and see if these plays on FanDuel. They don't really have much, so I'm not going to go there. It's pretty much just the spreads. But do expect a bounce back game. I expect probably about 300 yards passing from Joey. I feel like this Ravens secondary still isn't good, especially if Humphreys isn't in the game. That secondary is very suspect. I think he can throw all across the field. I think we just got to outpace Lamar. But then again, other than Zay Flowers, their receiving core didn't look too good either. So as long as we can just outpace Lamar and the defense can hold that rushing attack. Now they lost J.K. Dobbins, so we'll see how like Gus Edwards and Lamar and whoever else they have, if they can run a decent a bit. But I expect the Bengals to cover the spread.
All right, I'm kind of with you on that one. Very interesting matchup for me on this end. It's basically the game of nobodies.
Ooh, nobodies.
Colts and Texans. Just looking at what happened in week one, I just think the Colts, looking at your matchup predictor, it says the Texans are going to win. I'm all over the Colts on this. They're a -1 favorite. You're supposed to get a minus. You're supposed to get a +3. You're supposed to be -3 favorited automatically for a home field advantage. So that means that if this was on a neutral field, in theory, the Colts would be a 4-point favorite. I mean, it's good enough to just basically smash that -1 all day. I mean, you got to win by 1 anyways, so you get it for better money, even if it is a push. There's a chance you just get your money back. That's how that works.
Yeah.
So just hammer the crap out of that Colts spread.
Unless they tie. What happens if they tie?
I'm pretty sure you lose your money, man. But if a game ends in a tie, who even? I mean, that's just trash. I don't even know how we have. I don't even know how we have ties in the NFL. We're not in Europe. This ain't soccer.
There was one last year.
There's almost one every year nowadays. So
yeah.
I mean, looking back at this game though, if we look at week one, the Colts played way better than the Texans did.
Yes.
They just did. I mean, Jacksonville is in theory a playoff team, and the Colts were in that game up until the fourth quarter. And in reality, the Colts were in the red zone at the very end of the game. So yeah, I know they lost by 11 points, but was it 11? No, I think it was 10 points. But regardless, they could have easily, made it look like a better game, and they could have gotten it, maybe 28-31 or 24-31 to make it look a little better. But the Texans had the Ravens. The Ravens had the team decimated by injuries, and they still made easy work of the Texans. Don't really think much into it. It kind of just should be an easy win for the Colts. Yeah, they don't really have a running game, but the Zach Moss is going to return this week. Uh, Anthony Richardson can get the job done with his legs. It's been cleared that his injury wasn't really that big of a deal. The coach basically said that it was the end of the game. There wasn't much to play for anymore. I'm not going to risk it. Even though he easily said he could just get back in, it was just a bruise. Don't make the bruise bigger, kind of situation. Just wait until next week, live to fight another day. I think that was good philosophy for the coach. But true, they hung with the Jaguars. They were beating the Jaguars. They scared them a little bit. The Jaguars actually have a pretty good passing game. Yeah. They didn't seem like they were getting destroyed in the passing game, which is a lot to take in, a lot to, we didn't really expect that going into it.
They held their ground.
But Houston doesn't really have a threatening pass game. So, looking at this game, it just kind of screams Colts. In my opinion, I just maybe a little biased because Anthony Richardson's my backup, maybe starting QB this week. Regardless, in my opinion, he was probably the best offensive rookie last week. Sorry. The only other people in talks with him are Bijan Robinson and Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I didn't think Bijan did a whole lot against the Panthers to say he was number one. Zay Flowers, you arguably could because no one saw that coming. And Anthony Richardson, he took care of business. Yeah, he threw an interception. So what? He looked good passing the ball and he looked good running the ball. So, in my opinion, look for the Colts to take this W week 2. The Texans, I think they're figuring it out. I think they'll be good later in the season, not earlier in the season. It's a rookie coach's first time around. I know the Colts have a rookie coach first time around. It just seems a little different in terms of where the teams are. The Colts just seem like their defense is a little bit more advanced than the Texans. It looks like their offense is a little bit more advanced. In terms of weaponry, it's Robert Woods versus, is it Paris Campbell? Is he still there? I don't know. I forget who was going off for the Colts, but regardless, big man was getting his name out there. So I'm just in Colts money line, Colts spread, which is basically a money line. So
yeah, good. I'm with you. I would definitely hammer that Colts. Basically 1 point. I feel like it's just something. The things that are too good to be true, you gotta roll with them from time to time. All right. So I think that's just how that has to go. For me, my second preview, I think I'm gonna go with a 4:00 game. We both did 1:00 game, so I'm gonna move on to a 4:00 game. I wanted to preview the Chiefs and Jags. I feel like that would be an interesting game, or I could have gone Seahawks Lions, but I think I'm gonna go Commanders Broncos. All right, I think. If I break this down, but first, the matchup predictor, 2/3 is actually on the Broncos, which is, I guess because the Broncos are at home, right? It makes sense. But 33% for the Commanders. I guess people are really doubting Sam Howell, especially after last week. But in their defense, letting the Cardinals put up 16 points, but I don't know. The line's only at 3.5. And the over-under's at 39. I don't know. That's tough. But for me, breaking this down, I know last week Commanders didn't look too good. I know we both said, hey, hammer that 7 and that -7 for the Commanders. They should easily beat the Cardinals. Cardinals are going to be the worst team in the NFL this season. Didn't quite go that way, right? And then if we look at the other side, we both thought the Broncos would be improved, which they did look improved last week they played the Raiders, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was a close game. Russ kind of looked like Russ. He didn't look like last year's Russ, but he didn't quite look like, primetime Seattle Russ when the Legion of Boom was there and, all that good stuff. So I'm expecting a good game. I think to me, this is the battle of two things, right? Battle of defense, right? Because I feel like both teams have really good defenses. Commanders, that defensive front is something to be reckoned with. And for the Broncos, I feel like overall the defense is really good, especially that secondary with Surtain, leading that defense. And then it's going to be the battle of the quarterbacks. We got basically a rookie quarterback and Mr. Sam Howell starting his third game next week. And then we got Russ, his second game with Sean Payton. Now, like I said, he looked better last week, but as you can see right here, he was 27-34 for 177, 2 touchdowns. Sam Howell, 19-31, 202, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, which isn't bad in your second start in the NFL, right? We'll see. I feel like it'll come down to who can outperform who. Basically, they both have new, I guess, offensive play callers. Sean Payton with Russ. With Sam, you got Eric Bieniemy. It'll be the battle of the minds and battle of the quarterbacks. Whoever can pit their quarterbacks in the better positions against these two tough defenses is going to be the victor of this game. So I'm not. If I had to pick a winner, I'm going Commanders because I just haven't seen enough from the Broncos to warrant me thinking that they're going to beat the Commanders. And honestly, I thought they should have beat the Raiders. Even though Jimmy G did play well, I feel like Josh Jacobs had a horrible game. And I feel like that Raiders offensive line, even though it was against the Broncos and their defensive line is good, they just could not run the ball. And it just looked pathetic. And we'll see if, Sam...
I'll defend the Broncos for a second. Well, I'll defend Russell for a second. I think Will Lutz missed. I'm pretty confident he missed an extra point and he missed a field goal. And that's the guy that Sean Payton brought in from the Saints. Basically, I mean, Will Lutz cost him that game. Will Lutz is supposed to be this automatic. It's in their kicker. He didn't even have that long of a field goal either. He just missed it, man.
Shanked
and
it.
you kind of saw that game. Like once he missed that field goal, it was pretty deflating for them. Like they had a nice long drive. Russ chewed a lot of clock for nothing, basically. So
yeah, that's why I said like they should have won. Like I feel like the Raiders did not play well, so I feel like just some mistakes, like you said, with the kicking, and just I feel like the first game for us and Sean Payton, I feel like it's just I feel like the connection wasn't totally there. So, but I feel like Commanders, it's a lot of hype going with them. A lot of positivity with new ownership and Dan Snyder finally at the picture. I feel like they'll sneak out this win in Denver. That's just how I'm feeling.
I like the way you're feeling, man. Well, the game you said you wanted to preview is the game that I want to preview.
Okay, which one?
Jacksonville, Kansas City.
Ooh.
I'm not fully on the hype train.
This Chris Jones situation.
But let's be realistic. In my opinion, just my full opinion. Oh, dude, Chris Jones hasn't practiced with the team. He's not going to be 100% ready in game shape. Let's just be realistic. He's not. So, Jacksonville's going to take advantage.
Yes.
Kansas City only has Kelsey. Kelsey's not going to be 100% going into this week, but he's going to have to play because we saw last week that it's not possible without him.
He's still questionable.
So, moving forward, I got Jacksonville with the upset. I mean, I would just hammer the money line. I'm not even going to say no spread. Don't need 3.5. Jacksonville money line. I mean, just give it to me. It's plus 146. It's really good money for what it is. I'm not fully bought into the Kansas City hype train this year. Patrick Mahomes, yes, he's a good quarterback, but I mean, Garvarius Tony dropped 4 passes. Those were crucial 4 passes. Is he going to drop 4 again? No. But none of his other wide receivers seemed to do anything exceptional either. Only wide receiver that seemed like they were doing anything at all was Valdez-Scantling. Okay. And you're telling me all I have to do is worry about one wide receiver and a tight end? We can figure out a game plan for that. There's always a game plan that can be made for something like that. Jacksonville, on the other hand, I think it's very evident that Calvin Ridley changed the way we view Jacksonville. And we also have to remember Jacksonville was with the Chiefs the entire game in that playoff game. I think they lost 28-21. This just kind of screams like revenge. Like, you did us dirty. I'm at home this time. We're not the stepchild anymore. We're not the redheaded stepchild. Like, we're here to prove that we deserve to be in the playoffs, and we're going to be a force to reckon with. And this is something you do in week 2, and you kick a team while they're down. Kansas City Chiefs are low-key down right now. Yeah, they get 3 extra days to try to figure it out, but is it enough? Who knows? We'll see. But I'm still saying Jacksonville all day. Calvin Ridley, Kurt, Zay Jones. It's Zay Jones. It just, there's a lot to handle in that, wide receiving room.
Yeah.
I think they still have Ingram. Evan Ingram is still there, so he's a touchdown threat. And then you got Tanks Bigsby, and you got ETN, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Tank Bigsby just comes in there in the red zone, and good luck taking me down. ETN gets you down the field the whole way. So there's just a whole lot of weapons. Kansas City didn't really seem like they knew how to handle the running game that they actually have. It was a lot of the Clyde Edwards-Helaire kind of situation going. Dude, we thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was gone. Why he was even coming into the game who knows? That just also kind of says that Pacheco hasn't fully taken over the reins of, number one running back. We kind of knew McKinnon. He's just a utility guy. He literally can be slot. He can be a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Don't really know where he fully falls in. He could technically be that Joker role that Patterson plays, but I didn't even see him in the Falcons-Panthers game for the most part. So all this taken in, yeah, I know the Jaguars defense played a rookie quarterback, but there is something to be said about that. Like, there's no game tape to watch of Anthony Richardson. There's only college film, which you automatically knew that he wasn't going to be the college guy that we saw. He was going to get tuned up way more. So the fact that they figured out while they were playing, because early on he looked really good. The fact that they figured it out as they were going, they have last year's playoff game to look back on, to look at Patrick Mahomes. It just smells Jacksonville upset. And the fact that like they're such a deep underdog is just crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like this has upset written all over it, and this is coming out Thursday morning, so like as soon as you guys see it, I would definitely hammer, because once that news of Kelsey comes out, which I'm guessing he'll be game time decision, if not maybe late Saturday, you don't want, if you start seeing that line move, then you know already that the sports books know something that hasn't came out yet. So I think while it's safe, take that plus money right now, because Saturday night, Sunday morning, that line is going to move if Kelsey is out or if he's limited, and the bet won't look as good.
Yep, 100% agree. All right. Well, my friend,
that's our 2 games.
One last thing to discuss. We're going to get into rapid fire real quick, everyone. Last but not least, trivia.
Here we go.
All right. I think my trivia question this week might be a little bit basic, so I'm going to go first. We'll see if you knock it out of the park or struggle with it. This could go one or two ways, so I'll just hit you straight up with it. Do you know which player holds the record for the most 30-yard plus games in the NCAA? 30-plus yard rushing games. Let me make sure I say rushing. Wait, did I say 30? 300 yards, sorry. 300-yard rushing games. Which player holds the record for the most 300-yard plus rushing games?
Leonard Fournette?
It is not Leonard Fournette. Okay, maybe it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Okay, thought you might get it right
Reggie?
off the rip.
Was it Reggie?
Ooh, Reggie is a good pick, but no cigar on that one.
Alrighty. I'm trying to think. who had really big rushing seasons in college. Who was that guy in Wisconsin a couple years ago? Played for the Broncos.
Ooh, spicy.
Who is that dude's name? I don't know. Dalvin Cook?
It's not Dalvin Cook.
Hmm.
I think you're thinking of Phillips. I don't remember his first name.
No, it's not Phillips. Wasn't thinking of him. 300-yard games in college. Who's an electric college running back? This is tough. This one is tough right here. Right here. It's not Joe Mixon, right?
It is not Joe Mixon.
Is it I don't know, Jim Brown?
Ooh, Jim Brown. No, I didn't think you were going to throw that one at me, but it is not Jim Brown.
Barry?
Ah, you finally got it, everyone. Barry Sanders has the most 300 plus rushing yards or rushing games in the NCAA. I almost gave you a hint there that I was going to say orange was the right color. I was going to hint that, but I was like, no. I think I'm going to let him try to figure this out because I think he does know it.
I mean, I don't even know what school Barry went to. I just was like, Barry. I knew Barry was good in college, but I didn't know how good he was.
Oklahoma State, man. Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I knew it was like a Midwest. I know it was either like a SEC school or it was going to be like a Midwest school and it had to be like kind of old because nowadays running backs you don't see that too much. So last running back pretty much who did that was probably Fournette. It was running over people. Alrighty, I'm up next. My question, I feel like you might get it. I don't think it's too hard, but it could stump you a little bit. So here we go. In terms of Super Bowl champions, so players who have won a Super Bowl, collectively in all the Super Bowls that they've played in, can you name the receiving leaders of Super Bowl champions?
So repeat it one more time.
So Super Bowl champions, people who have won a Super Bowl, who are the top 5 receiving leaders in terms of receiving yards.
Ooh. It's not
single game, like collectively over their Super Bowls.
Man.
So, you got to think, hey, who's played in a lot of Super Bowls?
Oh, I just know
I
know it's got to be like 2 Patriots on there. And I know there's probably going to be a Steeler from like when they went 3 straight, but let's see. First one is I'm gonna throw out there is Edelman.
No.
All right then.
Because you got to remember, they also have to play good in the Super Bowl, so they got to have a lot of yards in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And play a lot.
See, Reed from the Bills. I don't remember his first name, but I know the Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls, and I assume that maybe Reed was on that team. I don't know his first name.
Nope, not Reed.
Jerry Rice, probably.
Yep, he's one.
Yeah, that was like one of my fallbacks. That was probably one of my fallbacks. Screw it, Shannon Sharp.
That's a good guess, but no. Remember, I mean, Onk won 3 Super Bowls, but the
Yeah,
last one was with the Ravens.
I'm just trying to think of players who played in a lot of Super Bowls because it's gonna take a couple games in order to be at the top, and that's why Jerry's up there. Guys that played in lots of Super Bowls, dude. It's got to be someone on those Buffalo Bills teams. I just know it. Let's see. Early 2000s Patriots are definitely going to be someone on there.
Maybe.
Hey, don't tell me maybe. I know how it's got to be. I know it's probably wrong, but Isaac Bruce.
Isaac Bruce is one.
Okay. So it wasn't
3 more.
It's not Andre Reed. James Lofton.
No.
I just know he was on those Bills teams. So you're telling me it's not a Bill, probably. I mean, that would make sense because didn't the Bills get like blown out each time?
Yeah, I don't think they won.
I know they didn't win because the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl, but I didn't know they got blown out. I'm going on a limb. Oh, there's no way he was in both of them, though. But I really want to say Plexico Burris for the Giants.
No, because remember, I think he shot himself after that one.
Canceled much? Santonio Holmes, Pittsburgh.
Good guess, but no. I think, yeah.
I don't think he was on the second team.
I don't think so either. I think he got in trouble too.
No, he joined the Jets.
Okay, makes sense.
I don't remember. Damn. Maybe the Broncos. Demarius Thomas.
That's a good guess, but no. I think you're thinking right quarterback, but maybe not the right team.
What, Marvin Harrison?
That's another one.
Oh, he made it? Oh, I wasn't even in like one Super Bowl? No, he was in 2. They only won 1. Oh, yeah. So how many? I got 4?
You got 3 right now. You need 2 more.
Oh, dude. Michael Irving?
No, he's just outside. I think it's at number 6 or number 7.
Was in Dallas got so many back-to-back?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Let me think.
Now, you were on the track with Marvin Harrison. Like I said, that's the right quarterback. Now, that quarterback has another receiver who's on that list.
Was it Wayne?
That's another one.
Reggie Wayne's on it?
Yeah.
I was going to say Dallas Clark if it wasn't him. So they balled out in those 2 Super Bowls they went to.
Now, you got one more. The last hint, this guy.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's on the Patriots during that 3-year run.
This guy was in the NFC, but he won. I think he won a Super Bowl on the AFC team.
Deion Branch?
No, it's a good guess, though. It's a good guess.
You're telling me that Tom Brady went to 3 straight Super Bowls in the early 2000s and none of his wide receivers are on there?
Well, yeah, I remember in those early Super Bowls with Tom Brady, he really knew too much. He had like barely 200 yards passing, so it wasn't too much to go around.
I don't know, man. I watched him destroy the Panthers. That was my first Super Bowl, okay? I remember him. He was pretty good. In what era? Is it older era or newer era?
I think this one happened recently because, I think he lost his Super Bowl with the NFC team, and then I think he won it, like I said, won it with the AFC team. And so this team recently won a Super Bowl like within the last decade, I think. Yeah, within the last decade.
No, I don't think Brandon Marshall won a Super Bowl.
No.
So he spent most of his years in the NFC and then went to the AFC. Dude, and this is the last one? Shit.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Let's see. He lost it with the... He lost it on the NFC side and won it on the AFC side. So it's got to be like San Francisco lost recently and then won it on the AFC side. But I don't think there's any San Francisco wide receivers. There's Rams.
There is.
So it's the same. They were on San Francisco or were they on the Rams?
They were on San Fran.
Well, that's cool. I mean, shit, dude. I don't even know.
All right, the last one is Anquan Bolden. One with the Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, I know Anquan Bolden from the Cardinals. Because him and Larry Fitzgerald went off.
Yep.
So I would never have gotten that. Yeah, I would have never gotten that one.
Yeah, that's like a name, like, unless, I mean, you know him, but like that's the type of name that slips your mind, you know. You don't really. But you did good though. You got 4 out of 5. That was good. That was a good trivia.
I almost said Michael Crabtree, but then I was like, dude, Michael Crabtree never won one.
He went, but he didn't win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good trivia.
So a lot of those guys were recent. None of them were old.
Jerry Rice is old.
Yeah, but he went to like 30 of them, so it doesn't matter. But the only one I can't believe is Andre Reed, because didn't he go to like 4 straight and he still couldn't do it?
Did he win?
No, he never won. Okay, that's not the point.
I said Super Bowl champions. You had to have won. That was the whole point.
You know, I forgot that simulation the whole time when I was thinking of teams.
Yeah, you had to have won. At least one. So
I was listing teams that lost. I was listing guys that lost.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was a little mistake on my part, but damn. That means Andre Reed definitely is in that thing, but he just never won. He just never won.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Because I said Lofton too from the Bills. I was like, dude, it's got to be one of the Bills guys. And I was like, it just never clicked in my brain, that part of your question.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking of guys that went to so many Super Bowls.
It's all good. You'll get them next time. But that's the end of trivia. You gonna take us out?
Man, Anquan Bolden, sorry, man. I never knew you were a 49er. I've only known you as a Arizona Cardinal. So, way to show out and the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's all that we have for you today, folks. It was a great show. Great being here with you, man. Love it each and every week.
Show.
Love it each and every week. Hope you guys win your bets this weekend, and good luck to everyone.
Good luck to everyone. Good luck on your betting. Good luck on your teams. And yeah, with that, we're out.